Hello friends. As we move on Python machine learning, there are certain portion of Python data structure which will be very much required, and these three programs which I will be showing you subsequently deals with that basic overview. The very first program which is in front of you is makes use of the list. So let me show you how this particular program is going to work. Here I have declared the namespace called sys. It's a module which I have added, and here I have declared a list that is very similar to that of an array in C language, but obviously you can see that in case of array there would have been a size that would have been mentioned, but over here there is no such mention. So as you keep on executing the items that you are adding in the list will keep on expanding, and that's how the beauty of the list in Python is. I have declared a couple of variables over here. What is the rule you will be able to follow very soon? And here I have defined one function. The name of the function is called mylist, that takes an array over here. That takes a parameter over here. And what type of parameter, that also we will be getting know very soon. And then you give a colon and then you hit the tab. As we all know that in case of Python, we don't make use of curly braces for the scope. Rather, the indentation is what actually been followed over here. Now as we scroll down over here, we find that there is another function that I have defined which also has a parameter over here, and we'll get to know what this parameter all about and what the body of this function is basically doing. So once we have defined these two functions, we come down to the while statement, and here is where we have written an infinite loop. Okay, because I want that this particular piece of code should continue as long as the user is willing to provide input. So that's the reason there is an infinite while loop over here, and that's the reason why we had a variable x equals to 1 initially, and then we have got a variable called ch equals to y which have also been assigned, and this if statement is found to be true. Now once this if statement is found to be true, the body of this statement is going to work right now, and here what we have done is that we are going to take input from the user. So this particular line is supposed to appear on the screen by seeing that the user is supposed to provide a number, and that number will be initially stored in the variable m. Once the user stores the number m, now what we have to do is that we have to add this number into the list which we have created by the name called item, and that's what we are doing it with the help of the append function. So append function will be responsible for including an element within the given list. Okay, just keep it in mind. So then we will be prompted with another statement that if you wish to continue, press y. Hopefully the user will provide the y, and that will be getting through the ch, and after that the continue statement is encountered. That leads us to the infinite while loop once again, and then it enters the if statement, and if in case the user is given y, then naturally the statement will be asked once again, seeing that the new value will be given by the user, and that value will be added in the list, and again the choices will be asked. Imagine that user has given some other input apart from y. In that case, the continue will not take place. Rather, the continue will take place. Rather, it will go up once again. But since the user has given some other alphabet, not y, so the if statement will not work. Thereby, it will come to the else part. And once it reaches the else part, now we are going to invoke my first function. My first function is called mylist. And what we are passing in the parameter? We are passing the parameter that is the list which just few minutes ago we were using to insert record. So mylist function passes the list as a parameter, and that gets stored in the variable n. Isn't that nice? Okay, so n is basically a list in Python. Now I have got a variable over here whose value is I equals to 0. Because we are starting from the very initial stage, it will print the statement elements in the list are, and then we are using the while iteration. So the value of I is 0, and how long the iteration will continue, that will be referred with the help of the len function. So len is a function that will count how many elements are there in the list, in the Python list. Okay, that means number of times iteration is expected. And now it comes to the print statement. See, just like an array which we have done in C language, list also has got indexing, and that's what we are going to do at the very first location. The very first location, the value that the user has given, that will be shown, and then there is a blank space provided for the next input so that they don't club up together. and then I increment the value of I, whereby the control will go up once again, because you can find there are a couple of indentation done over here and this line is not within the loop. Okay, that's the reason it's out of the statement and there is no indentation provided over here. So the initial value of I was 0. Now 0 plus 1 will make it 1, and it comes up once again, and obviously if it is within the length of the list, then I will be 1 and the next value will be shown. That's how this iteration is going to work until all the element that is present in the list will be shown, and then the print statement will bring the control to the new line. Okay, and once this particular function is over, then the control will come back to the else statement. Then it will show this following statement, sum of the numbers are, it will be showing that, and then again it will invoke the next function, and here also I'm passing the list as a parameter, whereby the control will come right over here, and this n is going to hold the list which I have provided. Here also I've defined two variables, dot equals 0, I equals 0, because I have to start the iteration from the very beginning. So that's the reason I equals 0, and the length is what the number of element that will be there with the list. And then what I'm doing here, I'm identifying the specific index at the 0th position. Now remember, the list which we have defined at the top didn't mention what type of data type it is. So by default, it won't be data type. So that's the reason we have to go for typecasting. So with the help of typecasting, we're converting the integer type to it to, I'm converting it to the integer type, and then we are going for the multiplication. We are going for the addition, and after adding, we are storing the value inside the dot variable, and then again the iteration is taking place, and thereby the loop will continue. And each time the loop is continuing, it will pick up one value at a time. It will go for typecasting, and then it will go for computation, and finally it will store the value in the dot. And once the iteration is over, then we are going to see the output right over here. Okay, and that's how the sum of the list, that is, the item that is present in the list, will be finally calculated. So let's do one thing. We'll copy this piece of program from here, and I already have got my Jupyter notebook present. I put it over here and I hit Shift Enter. The statement is executed very smoothly, no problem. Then we go to the first function. Let me copy the function over here, and let me paste it over here, and I hit Shift Enter. That also got executed without any hassle. Now I will be going for the next function. That's really nice. I put it over here and I hit Shift Enter. That also got executed very smoothly. Now I come to the final statement, and I'm going to put it over here. Now let me run the program. As I press Shift Enter, see, the input statement is working. Enter the number to be added. Okay, so I give the value 11 and I hit Enter. It asks me an input Y to continue. Yes, I press Y. So again, it is prompting me to enter number. I go for 32, press Y. 33, press Y. And the last time 44, I'm pressing no. So once I press no, the list function will be called, and that will show me all the numbers which the user has given, and then it will show me the statement, and then it will calculate sum. So let's go ahead. I hit the enter. See, it shows me all the numbers the user has given, and finally the statement comes, and finally the sum is also been stored. Isn't that nice? So that's how this particular program of list has gone executed. This is a very basic overview I have given. At least you understood how the flow of control is going to take place, how the function has to be called, how the parameters has to be referred. Okay, so that was my first program in regard to list. Now I move on to the next program, that is a set. Okay, it's also a very small program. In the very first line, what I've defined is a reference of type set. So this is the name of the function that will be declared. System defined function, obviously, that will invoke the creation of a set. So I have created a reference of type set. So what is the difference between set and list? Hold on, soon you will understand by your own. Here I have declared a variable called x equals to 1. Again, that's again a style which I do for my infinite loop. So I'm going for an infinite loop over here, and then it is prompting me to enter a name. I will give the name over here, and that name is storing in a temporary variable called m. Just see over here, the name of is the set, and instead of append function that was there in the list, we have got add function in case of set. So we are adding an element, and this is my temporary variable. So the item which the user has given, that gets added, and then again it will prompt the user, would you like to continue? If the user presses Y, it will go for continue, and that's how the iteration is going on until and unless the user gives some of the variables. So once the user gives some of the variables, so it will get terminated. Okay, so once it gets terminated, then we are going to print the entire set. So when we are printing the entire set, if you see over here, for printing the entire set, and I mean to say printing the entire list, we are making use of iteration, and which has got indexing, okay, just like the C what we used to do. But in case of set, we don't need any iteration simply because we don't have any indexing. So that means a set is such a data structure in Python that will store the store the numbers or string whatsoever. But while you are going for printing, you don't need basically any form of iteration. It will simply print the whole data that you have provided. So let's go and run this particular program for better understanding. I copy the whole thing. I come back to my Jupyter. I paste it right over here. So as I do that and I hit Shift Enter, the import starts to take. So I give the name as suppose Raj, and then I hit enter. Would you like to continue? Yes, I want to continue. I hit the name as Kabir. Would you like to continue? Yes, I want to continue. And last but the least, I want to go for a name says John. Would you like to continue? No. I hit the enter. So I have given 3 input. Very important thing to be noted over here is John was my last input, but the time when it was shown, John was shown as the first, and then came Kabir, and the first one came actually last. Why it happened? But in case of list, if you find the sequence in which I have given, the same sequence was shown. This is something which need to be noted over here. A set has got no indexing, so it will be completely unordered. The order form will not be maintained. That means the sequence in which the insertion has taken place, there is no guarantee that it will show the output in the same sequence, just because the indexing is not available. But in case of list, the sequencing is always going to be maintained. The order in which the insertion has been provided, in the same order it will show you the output as well. So that's a very big difference in regard to list and set in Python. Okay, the last program which I have got is called dictionary. So let's move over here. This is also a very important portion in regard to Python. Dictionary provides us value in the form of key value pair. That's what we have seen many a time in JSON. So in JavaScript object notation, we have seen that there is something called key value pair. Here also in dictionary, we come across something called key value pair. So let me explain you what the program is all about. So it will prompt you to enter an element. It is asking how many elements do you want. I will say suppose 3. So that will be typecasted, and then it will be stored in the variable n. Just like the previous program, I have got set. Here I have got dict. So this is what defining an empty dictionary, and that is the reference of the D. Now Python comes up with a very nice function called range, which will help you to run an iteration, okay, starting from the 0th block up to the n, but not including n. So that means suppose if you have given the value 3 over here, it will start from 0, it will go up to 2. So the upper bound is not included. It will go up to upper bound, but not including upper bound. So that's what you have to remember. So you start from 0th block, and then it will go up to 2. That's how the thing is going to work. So what it will do, it will ask from the user to provide an input. The user will give the input, and it will split. So what the split does, the split will split the input into 2 halves. So that means if your input has 2 words, obviously you have to give 2 words because you are going to use dictionary, and dictionary will be having 2 attributes. One is called key, K-E-Y key, the other one is value. So suppose if you have given the key as name and the value which you have given, suppose I'm giving my name, so that how those 2 words will be split with the help of a delimiter, that is a blank space. Okay, hold on. Let me show you this, then it will be much easier for you to understand. So let me copy the statement from here, and I'm putting it right over here, and now I'm firing it. It asks me enter the number of element to be inserted. I'm going for 3. Okay, that's really cool. And before I execute this line, let me copy this piece of code from here, and let me paste it over here. Okay, I will explain this part, don't worry. So I hit the enter, and the control is accepted, so the control will come over here. Before I execute that line, let me also copy this piece of segment, so that simultaneously, okay, I need to insert one new cell, so I go to insert cell below, and I put it over here. Okay, now I come right over here. So this line has already been executed. The value of n is going to be 3 because I've given 3 over here. So I will, this particular range is going to be 3. So 0, 1, 2 will be the execution. So let me run the program from here. See, it is asking for the user to input because I have already given the iteration as 3. So what I will do is that I will write something like name. I'm giving a space. Swaroop. So that is the input I'm giving. Okay, I hit the enter. So this is my first input which I have given. Okay, isn't that nice? Next one, I want to go for phone space. I'm giving my phone number 8981728365. I hit the enter, and then I'm going for suppose subject, and I give a space, and I'm writing ML using Python. Okay, and that's it. So these were the three input that were supposed to be taken. And remember, in each of this input, okay, I have done one small mistake. I shouldn't give any space over here. Rather, I'm going to concatenate this with underscore, because on basis of the space, it will delimit. It will delimit that this is the key and this is the value. This is the key. This is the value. This is the key. This is the value. So I hit the enter. Shift enter. Very nice. So all these three input has been taken. So how this input is working? So it has gone for split. So after splitting, it has got two entry. One is name. The other one is Swaroop. So now the name is been in the location of text 0 position, that goes to the key, and the 1 position is Swaroop, that goes to the value. And now within the dictionary you have to put the whole thing. So it is writing dictionary, it is in the form for list. So the key is the attribute, so key is name, and then the value is Swaroop for the first input. Again it goes up, it splits the second statement into half, and then it assigns the key as phone, the value as phone number, and it goes up. Next it takes the second key as subject, and then it assigns this value. Remember, the split is taking place with the help of this delimiter, that the blank space which I'm providing right over here. So once this whole thing has been generated, now we can go for executing this thing. So let me come over here, let me hit the shift enter, and just see how nicely it has been splitted on. So the print statement brings us to a new line. I have got for keys and value in the D, that is the dictionary item. So as many number of items are there, this particular loop statement will be working, and it will show the value in the form of key value pair. So print key. So what was the key for the first element? That was the name, that came over here, and the value, that was Swaroop, and then the blank space and just a new line. So it went for the 3 iteration, and each of these iteration it was subsequently printing. It was picking up each item, and from the item it has got two parts. One is the key and one is the value. So individually it presents the key value, and then again it went up, it printed, it extracted the last item, stored the item, and the item was in two parts, the key and the value. The key got printed over here, the value got printed over here, and finally we have seen all the output. So this video presentation, I tried to show you three things. One was the list, and then I showed you how a set data structure is going to work, and finally how a dictionary is going to work. So this presentation will give you an idea about how to make use of these foreign data structure, and in my coming days I will be working much more on different programs, and ultimately we are heading for the machine learning. So just practice these programs. I'm very sure this will be very effective for you. Thank you so much. Please do keep watching my videos. Until then, have a nice time.